Hello and welcome. I'm Siobhan. Really excited that you're here. If you are listening to this video, then you are potentially interested in the Pivot Pathfinders program. So, by way of very brief introduction, I have been guiding high achieving women to navigate career pivots, step into their leadership potential with confidence, and build fulfilling, aligned careers without burning out or starting from scratch. And if that's something that you're interested in, then this could potentially be your time to take that next step to move towards it. I'm really passionate about this work because I've lived the success myth. So, way back when in 2010, I was in my mid to late 20s and I'd already made it on paper. I was in a successful corporate career, I had a really promising career trajectory. I was managing like South Asia real estate transactions. There was business class travel, there was six-figure salary, and I was really pulling all my heart and effort into a career that I thought that I really wanted to build. But on the back end, I had no social life. I was constantly overworking. I was chained to my BlackBerry. Yes, that was of a different time. And honestly, I was just overwhelmed and exhausted. And looking up at the career ladder, thinking about, okay, how do I start a family? How do I think about the other priorities in life? I felt really disillusioned and I didn't know which way to go. And I was truly craving more meaning and purpose, but wanted that financial stability that I had created for myself. And I remember I was on a business trip in India and I had this really horrible conference call that just went completely wrong. And I had a moment where I came off the call, was ugly crying, looking around the beautiful Four Seasons hotel in Mumbai. If anyone's been there, it's a beautiful hotel. And I was thinking, what is this? I'm so lucky and privileged to be here. And I'm in India, the land of spirituality, and I am so disconnected from myself. And I remember going to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, and thinking, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out there's got to be a better way where I can put my heart, my effort into something meaningful, but still get paid really well. And that's the journey that I was on and committed to from 2010. And I was committed to figuring out how to find this path. And I've discovered a system to figuring out my path, my purpose, and how to create aligned achievement and success. And this is my life's work and what I really want to share with you. This system is something that I've used to personally create a portfolio career path that I absolutely love and that stretch me into the edges of my leadership in a really good way. So I have my business where I coach and consult high achieving women around career, their leadership. I work women primarily in three categories: those who are looking to reinvent themselves, those who are looking to grow in their role, and those who are needing to reassess and find some work life balance because burnout is real when you're a high achieving woman. And I've used that to support my clients to pivot into their next level leadership. And what I'm really passionate about is you figuring out who you really are, what you really want, and really going after that path that makes sense for you. I want you to build a career path that supports you to really work to your zone of genius and your strengths, what you're really good at. Because when you're doing more of what you're good at, the more fulfillment you get and the more energy you get because you're leveraging your strengths. And you create fulfillment by actually stepping into that next level leadership and being able to tussle between, oh, where am I going next? And can I do it? And can I step into that? And that requires some support. And I really want to support you to develop your talents so that you can get paid well accordingly and to have full bodied confidence in who you really are and to share that in the world with ease. So you don't need an overcomplicated or overwhelming strategy to pivot. And when I say pivot, this might look like you changing something within your organization, maybe adapting your role. It might look like you changing to another company. It might look like you starting your own business. It might look like you changing industry. When I say pivot, it really applies to anything. And I'm very passionate about like not necessarily telling you what you have to do and pigeonholing you into you have to start a business or you should become a consultant, because I think there's a step before that where we need to work out what is best and most aligned for you. And when I was working with my own coaches, they were very clear that I should pick a niche, help women leave corporate and start a business. But that just didn't sit right because what if that's not the right path for a woman? What if there's something else there? And that's why I created this program. So, no matter what you're thinking of pivoting into, I just want you to know that pivot is a broad term. But to be able to do that, you have to be able to work with your nervous system and shift out of that survival mode into self regulation so that you can start to hear your intuition and make smart decisions from on what's next, because it doesn't come from the level of the busy mind. It comes from that deep rooted knowing and that quiet voice that tells you this isn't it, or I feel like you should do this. That's the one we want to listen to. And then get the rational brain on board afterwards. I'm not saying throw everything out and don't listen to your mind. Absolutely not. But dropping into the body is really important. Your pivot pathway needs to really help you get clear on what's not working right now so you know what problem to solve for. So often we think changing the external is going to fix our problems, but I've learned the hard way that that's not true. So when I was in my last corporate career, I was working in corporate real estate at Goldman Sachs. I had a work hard ethic, keep on going, muscle through, and really was just kept on soldiering on. But I brought that with me into being a consultant, into my next iteration of starting a business. And I'll be honest, it still kind of flavors me today. And I really have to be conscious of it because if you don't solve for that, no matter what you change externally, you're going to experience the same internally. And so it's like trying to run away from something that's on your back, like it's always going to follow you around. So we really need to get clear on what's not working and what we need to solve for there. Your pivot pathway also needs to help you own your genius, your strengths, and your talents so that you can leverage what makes you uniquely you. And the challenge around that is that so often we discount our strengths, particularly as women. We think, oh, everybody can do this and this is no big deal. But actually, what I've seen and I've had the privilege of seeing is that so many different women have different strengths. And when you can leverage that, that becomes your unique secret sauce that you can confidently go out and say, this is what I can add to your team. This is the value I can bring. And that builds your confidence, right? To be able to make bigger asks, to be able to call in bigger clients or ask for a bigger salary if you're changing roles, right? Like that's really important. And then you can reverse engineer how your genius, your experience, and your interests can solve a problem for someone, which is where you can figure out where you can earn money. So that's really around, okay, maybe your expertise, for example, in project management, that can be really helpful for an organization. And you can do that internally as a consultant, or you might do that, as a business. Like it doesn't matter. This is what I'm saying. Like the externals of what you choose to do don't matter so much as like getting these foundations right. And this is where I've seen women make really smart pivots when they take the time to do this work. Then what you need to do is make micro adjustments so that you can pivot into your next level leadership based on who you really are and what you really want. Because so often we follow career paths that were set for us. I can't tell you how many lawyers, accountants, and doctors I've spoken to when I asked them, oh, how did you get into this? It was like, well, my parents sort of thought it would be a good career for me. It's stable. I was pretty smart. I could get through. And they end up in their 40s and 50s going, I'm not so sure. I actually really love knitting or baking or, creating these little hobby farms. Like, how can we adjust for that? And the interesting thing is, when you can get clear on these things, sometimes you don't have to quit your job and do a complete 360. It's really about permission slip to allow yourself to enjoy the things that you enjoy outside of work as well. So that's what you need. A pivot pathway is really helpful to come back to who you really are, what you really want, and helps you pinpoint exactly what's working and what's not. And in doing this work, you'll optimize for what needs to be resolved and make life easier by working with your strengths and talents. And you'll create clarity, researching and testing your options and see the exact how in how you'll pivot into a path that's right for you. So that is the pivot pathway that I like to support my clients on. And I'll share with you in a moment the exact framework that I use and how I can support you in the Pivot Pathfinders Mastermind. So here's the framework. There are three main stages, which I call the re-evolution method. So we have rewire, refire, and reimagine. Rewiring. This is coming back to personal mastery. This is coming back to the identity piece and I changing and evolving the identity of who you are into the most empowered version of the real you. Not because anything's wrong with you, not because anything's broken, not because anything needs fixing, but because we get lost along the way sometimes and we find ourselves going, whose life even is this? I don't know who I am anymore. Going back to that moment when I was on that business trip in India, I splashed my face with water. I was like, I don't recognize this person. Who am I? I was so bitter. I was so angry. I was so overwhelmed and I didn't like the person I was when I saw my reflection in my face. And so rewiring is the personal mastery piece where you come back to your identity. Because when you're clear on your identity, your values, what's important, who you are, the impact you want to make, then you can make decisions about where you go. Which brings us into the second stage, which is refire. This is about the career strategy. How do you get clear on that right path for you? Well, imagine in Rewire, you're getting the right person in the driving seat. And then suddenly from this place, you start to look at, okay, what is the right strategy? How can I get from where I am now, which is misaligned, to where I want to be, which is more aligned? And so this is where we look at smart strategic strategy that will support you. And I'll go into more detail in a moment, but to finish off on the framework, in the third stage, we reimagine. And this is where we take intentional action. So one and two are very much, deep diving, soul searching, doing some planning, doing some research, doing some thinking. But nothing happens and no clarity comes from just thinking your way into it. You have to test, you have to go out there, you have to have conversations and take action. And it's such an iterative process to get clarity on what is next. And so the third piece of reimagining is that intentional action piece where you can take action to find the right pathway for you. So, what happens with this framework is that when you have the personal mastery, the career strategy, and the intentional action in place, you get your pivot sweet spot. But what happens is when you have personal mastery and you're rewiring back to who you are with the right career strategy, then you can find that sense of purpose of what it is that you want to do. When you're clear on who you are and you have your identity and you're taking action, that's when you build confidence because you're actually doing the things that you say are important to you. And that builds your self-esteem as well. And then when you have the right career strategy with intentional action, that's where you make an impact, where you're actually serving people, helping, feeling like you're making a difference, which at the end of the day, if you're listening, my guess is that you want your career to be more than just a steady paycheck. You're looking for meaning, you're looking for purpose in what you do. And my guess is you've probably got other things to think about on the side, like maybe children, maybe aging parents. For me, I'm a mother of three, and being present for my kids is also woven into how I've chosen to share my gifts in the way that I have. And so that's how we can make an impact. So, what this has really meant for my clients when they put all of these pieces together, they get clarity, they get direction, and they start to see the options that are available there. And I think that's the most common feedback that I get. It's like, wow, I really thought that I might want to move into this direction or this could be possible for me. But now I know it's inevitable. It's just a question of how can I create those opportunities for myself? And wow, I can see I'm meeting this person and that person, and it's possible. So that possibility kind of, I imagine like a meter or like a thermometer or like, where you filled that bucket of, possibility, that gets filled up. And then it just becomes inevitable. Having this program and having this container has meant women are able to finally pause and clarify their real desires and goals. So it's not just, what you need to do for your kids or your partner or, the people in your team or whoever you're leading. You get to come back to you, like, what do you want? Sounds really simple, but it actually can be pretty hard. My clients have had practical embodied like process to this. So, it's about coming back into the body, not just being at the level of the mind. And that's where the real decisions can take place. And I've seen this happen. I had one client in Pivot who, whenever we dropped in and like listened to where she was going, the answers were just there, right under the surface. Didn't make sense to her rational mind, but it was there. And what's more important is beyond our time together, you get to take these tools and keep continuing to practice because my goal is for you to have this framework so that you can then continue this without having to have me there, although I'm very happy to support, but I want to give you everything that I have so that you can create rooted long-term change. Like this is what it's all about. So, what this means for you in Pivot Pathfinders, this will support you to stop procrastinating, to stop tolerating a life that's good enough but secretly soul destroying. It will help you walk towards a path that's actually meaningful and fulfilling as you define it, where you can leverage your strengths, your zone of genius, and create those lucrative opportunities for yourself and really become that next level leader within you that creates an impact on others. And that's going to give you a sense of peace that you're building something that matters both to you as an individual, as I said, like for your own personal goals, but to others as well. I'm a mother and I want to make sure that I'm there for them and present, but I'm a human and I'm a woman too. And I want to actualize my gifts and talents and I want to give back beyond that as well. And so that's something that's important to me. And you get to define that for you. And what it also means is that you get to enjoy life again and be present. I mean, at the end of the day, life is fleeting. It goes so quick. So we want to make the most of it. So the Pivot Pathfinders Mastermind is officially open, and I'm looking for professional women to mentor and work intimately with to pivot into their next level leadership in the next 6 to 12 months using this process. And I'm looking to create as many successful case studies as possible for this mastermind. So if you're watching and this is intriguing you, continue to watch. I've got more information here for you. In the mastermind, I'm going to teach you step by step how to plan, execute, and pivot into a career path that's right and true for you. From ideation to testing to actually pivoting, I'll work with you every step of the way so that you can navigate your career pivot with a proven roadmap and gain the clarity and confidence to make your next move. This is the same method that's helped me go from confused to clear, and hundreds of my clients do the same. I've been doing this now since 2013, and through one-on-one coaching, many different programs, but this is the distillation of the process and what I've seen work really well with my clients to get that clarity. And it's the best way that I've found to truly create a path that's right and true for you as you define it. Not by anyone else's measure of success and their yardsticks, but expectations or expectations or demands of you, but what you say is important, which sounds simple, but is surprisingly challenging, particularly as women with all the socialization and conditioning that we have to work through. So this is for you if you feel like you're on the right path, but you're being called into your next level leadership and you want to feel strong, clear, and in control without second guessing or burning yourself out from pressure. So this will help you to identify your career, like your strengths, and really cement that, okay, I am on the right path, but how can you continue on that trajectory? It's also for you if you're completely on the wrong path, but you have no idea how to make a move without having to start from scratch again. It's also for you if you're like, things are good enough. I'm okay here. I could stay, but something is off and you're not sure what to do about that feeling. This is also for you if you're burning out and you cannot continue at the pace you're currently going at and you need to change things because you can't keep going at the same pace. This is also for you if you struggle with imposter syndrome or phenomenon and that you find that you're constantly self-sabotaging your own success in that getting clear on what's working and what's not module. That will really help you identify the problem. So this is the journey. In Pivot Pathfinders, there's a set curriculum that will help you with this. And this curriculum you can work through, you can do the exercises and be guided on this process. So we have the rewire stage, which includes the nervous system and mindset reset, identifying what's working and what's not, and then knowing yourself, like what your strengths are. In the refire stage, remember this is the career strategy piece, we start to look at your work-life design prototype. Like, how do you want to structure your work and life? And how can we make that work for the current season that you're in? For some of you, you'll be mothers for the first time. For some of you, you'll be with young kids or teenage kids or empty nesters, you know, like it doesn't matter, or no kids, you know, it's about how to make it work for your stage of life. And then you'll start to define, okay, what are the pivot options that you've got there? How can we really figure that out? Then in Reimagine, this is the intentional action. You're actually going to go and test your pivot options, mostly through conversations with people who are in the industry, or, you know, any side opportunities that you might be able to spend a bit of time trying and getting a feel for. And then you're going to create your pivot pathway action plan. So typically, it's not like you're going to test one thing and be like, yay, this is amazing, off I go. It is an iterative process. I don't want to burst the bubble. But what will happen is that in the bit that I didn't talk about, the redesign, you're going to have a pivot. You can implement that pivot pathway action plan and you can continue that iteration process because, as I said, you get clarity from taking action. And that's what I want to support you through in the whole process. So the mastermind itself is 6 months and the curriculum will take about 4 months to get through. And you've got the remaining 2 months to be in the messy middle of testing, not being sure. And that is where I find it's crucial to have support so that you can be, you know, bump up against the, I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know about this number. Can I ask about it? Like, you know, being supported with all of those thorns in your side where you feel icky. I want to support you through that. And of course, if you want to have more support beyond this time, there is an opportunity to continue. But within the 6 months, you will have all that you need to be able to plan, test, and know which direction you are going in. So, if you're someone who wants a little bit of clarity on each of the steps, I'm going to go through that briefly now. And at the end, I'm going to share more about the delivery, the practical pieces, and the program investment. So, keep on watching. So, step one, nervous system and mindset reset. This is the getting out of survival mode and into strategic action piece that I said. So many of us, when we are living life, are in this fight, flight, freeze, fawn state. You know, we're stuck, we're anxious, we're frozen. And it's really hard to move when you're coming from this state. Albert Einstein famously said, you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it, which is why we start here at the level of the body, not the level of the mind that's just whirring. I don't know about yours, but mine can just whir, 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 which is why the embodiment, the energetics piece is so important. So in this module, you'll learn how you can start to unfreeze and regulate and come back to feeling calm so that you can start to listen to that inner whisper of where you're being guided to, what needs to shift, what needs to change. Your voice, not the expectations and demands of everybody else. In this, you'll also identify and rewire the core limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck and frozen in indecision. Because so often it's a permission piece. It's like, well, I'm the main breadwinner, so I'm not allowed to look at what I want. I can't follow something that's more meaningful. I have to pay my kids' school fees and the mortgage. No, so we need to look at that because when you identify that limiting belief, you can actually see a different possibility. So you'll be supported in that and you'll get a toolkit of embodiment practices that you can use to continue this journey of like learning to land back in your body. Step two, we're still in the rewire phase. You're going to audit what's working and what's not. So this is where we're going to look at what is the problem that we're really solving for, because I want to save you time. I don't want you to go and change, make a drastic change, put all this effort into a new career, and then realize, oh my God, I feel exactly the same. I have done that. Please don't. Take the time to audit what's working and what's not. So in this module, you're going to have a look at what is working, what's not, what's the season of life you're in, and understand the bigger picture of what's causing you stress and overwhelm. What you do at work is one thing, but you are impacted by all the other things you've got going on, whether you're a mother, a daughter, a wife, a partner, an aunt, a sister, a team lead, a CEO, a leader, endless. And so it's very hard to know where you fit in it. This is where we come back to you. Third step is coming back to knowing yourself. This is where I was talking about your strengths and your zone of genius. In this module, you're going to uncover the core skills and talents and unique assets that you have. So you'll I'm not wedded to one particular strengths assessment. So I use three different ones that you can have a look. And then we've got an AI tool, an AI prompt, sorry, that can really help you distill and see the themes so that you can see what your strengths are. Because your strengths come so easily and natural to you. It's really hard to see. So these things can help. And at the end, I'll share with you as a bonus, I also use a really unconventional tool called human design, which I love to help you understand who you are and what's actually encoded into your personality. It's a bit woo. I was very skeptical, but it has helped so many of my clients and really helped me see myself differently. And I think it's just a beautiful gateway to inquire and start to understand yourself. So there's also that opportunity to weave in a unconventional tool in that as well. So, other than strengths, we're also going to look at your experience because your experience, whether that's lived experience with your, like who you are as a human or your work experience, that's also something that you're going to bring to your pivot. And so, we're going to really get clear on like what are those raw materials we're working with so that we can figure out your pivot. And that's going to help you build confidence in your unique value. When we move into the refire stage, so this is about, the career strategy, we're going to create a work-life design prototype. So this is where we create a real-world plan that balances your career ambitions with your personal values, your priorities, and your life season. And you're going to craft your short and long-term vision for where you want your life to be and make some micro adjustments for immediate progress. The biggest myth I think that I've seen out there is that once we've figured out the pivot and we've done it and we're successful in it, we're going to be happy. Everything's wonderful. Life is great. But life is an iterative process. And I want to be honest that you're constantly going to be evolving. And I really do see this process as a tool, just like, we do strength training for the gym. I feel like this framework is strength training for the soul and for you as a woman to know how to continue to evolve and grow. Again, not because anything's wrong with you, but because that's just so natural. So we want to make micro adjustments for immediate progress. So you're not delaying fulfillment and success for one day, you're bringing it into the here and now. And this covers things like boundaries as well, where you honor your priorities so you can start to create a living roadmap to build towards the life and career that you actually want. Okay, then in step 5, we define your pivot options and we look at, okay, what are your options? We're going to break out of that narrow either or thinking because we can be very binary in our response. And you're going to have a look at what are the different options. And I've got a few different pathways, like ones if you're staying in corporate or ones if you're staying in alternative, you're looking at alternative options and all the different options available for you. And you can start to see what is possible for you. And you're going to let your mind go there just to get everything out on paper. I often refer to writers, they do a vomit draft where they just blur everything out and then they edit. This is just like, what could be? What could be? And actually, what's more interesting than getting the answer right is looking at the themes and understanding what's important to you. I'll give you an example. When I left Goldman's, I thought that I wanted to start an organic skincare business because I loved the Body Shop and Anita Roddick when I was a kid growing up. I loved that, she was accessing raw materials from these communities in underprivileged countries and that, you could create a beautiful product with cool marketing, animal testing. There were just so many elements to that business that I just absolutely loved. And actually, I was telling my daughter the other day that I wrote to her when I was at school for Environment Week, and her secretary wrote back to me. This is in the 90s, say she couldn't come. But there was something in that made me realize these people are human and real, and that there was something there that sparked for me. So I thought that was the answer. Start an organic skincare business. I took that idea at face value. But what was underneath it, that's the part that was more interesting and the part that I should have been looking at. The fact that it was women's empowerment, the fact that it was ethical, the fact that it was sustainable, the fact that it was creative. These are the elements that I really loved. And these are the elements that are in my business today. I'm supporting women. It's all about, how do we create an equitable workplace for women and an equitable society for women? There's creativity in my work. Can you see those are the themes? That's what we're going to look at when we're defining your your pivot options. And in that, we'll also look at personal branding so that you can position your strengths, your skills, and story and communicate that into the market. Because what matters is how you position yourself when you're pivoting. We think that we're our job title, and that's one element. Who we are is so much more important. So we go into that in greater depth there. Then we're moving into the reimagine section, the intentional action. So this is where you're actually testing. So we do a lot of pre-foundation work, but here you design your low stakes career experiment. So I get you to really set an experiment that you want to set, a direction that you want to test in a 3-week period. As I said, that looks like reaching out to people, having conversations, just to get a feel on, can you do a volunteering opportunity? Is there a baby course you can take? Really low stakes ways that you can test this out. And I've got scripts and strategies so that you can do market research and you can do this easily because this is where things break down. And this is where you start learning, adjusting, and iterating. So I'm there to support you in that. And then step 7, the final piece is like you're going to create your pivot pathway action plan. So you'll get that feedback and you'll be like, where am I now? Okay, what do I want to do next? Do I want to continue down this track? Do I continue speaking to these people? Or do I go and test something else? Is this not the right thing and I want to go here? It's an iterative process and it's organic. And that's why I want to support you in that. And that's going to support you for the real world transition and build the mindset and systems for success so that you can stay accountable and build momentum. So that's how the program works. Practically, how is it delivered? Right. So the program itself, you get access to for 6 months. And as I said, you get the curriculum, you'll get emails to prompt you as to when and how you can follow the program. But typically, it's about 2 weeks per module. And what's more important and where the program really comes to life is the live sessions. So this is where I can support you with integrating what you're doing in your own time and support you in real time with where you're at. So you get 2 live calls per month, and this is a Q&A call, an opportunity. It depends on the group. Sometimes I teach and facilitate a specific concept. For example, limiting beliefs. I might do a guided process for everyone in the group with a limiting belief, or it might be hot seat coaching. Really depends on where the group is at. Not prescribed. I'm really feeling the energy and the needs of the group. So there, we'll do 2 calls a month, except for July and December, where we'll just have the 1 call. You'll get the step-by-step training modules with all the scripts, templates, resources to test out your ideas in real world. I should also say that we use a platform called Circle, and so there is a community space in there. Every week, I'm giving you a prompt on a Monday to say, here are some things to think about. And on a Friday, you can circle back and check in if you'd like. But that's where things come to life. And in that space, you can ask your questions in between the live calls. You can share what you're working on to get feedback. It's a very interactive space. So there's that. You can do that. If you'd like to upgrade and you're like, I know I want a little bit of one-on-one support, there is the option to do that, whereby you get a private messaging channel with me on Circle where you and I can chat. I respond to you Monday to Thursday, 10 to 4, Hong Kong time. And you also get a monthly session with me, 60-minute coaching session with me, where we can deep dive with wherever you're at in the process. So inside, you'll get accountability. You'll know exactly what to do with the very limited time that you have outside of work. And you'll have me in your corner and the community to help keep you in track. So in the first 4 months, you'll have done that deep foundation work, done the deep soul searching, and tested your best pivot option and crafted a clear action plan to go forward from there. For the remaining 2 months, you're going to be supported to implement your plan and navigate the challenges along the way, because you're going to bump up against the old you and the new you and that sort of chrysalis process, which is where I get so excited to support women, because I love seeing a woman step into herself. And I have the great privilege of seeing like the beauty and the spark in women, but it saddens me that so many don't. And so when a woman actually accesses that and believes that, it's like the greatest gift for me. So you'll also, as I said, get access to every single script, tracker, template that I've used and continue to use to grow my career and be supported every step of the way. So, one recent client of mine or member of mine, she came in feeling completely stuck, really unclear of what was next. And within the program, she actually uncovered a business idea that had been on her heart for years, and she'd forgotten about it completely. It was so deeply buried. And by the end of the initial pathways, within the first 4 months, she'd launched her website and was taking real steps to test it in the real world, asking questions, getting feedback from potential clients, and using that to shape an offer. She's going portfolio career style, so she's still doing her corporate career, doing her consulting and all of that, but she's also got another business as well. And so, that's the power of having structure, support, and a space to reconnect with what matters. You actually get clear, you take action, and you move forward. I've seen this approach work with dozens of women that I've coached one-on-one who realized that they didn't need to quit. They just needed to shift how they worked and how they saw themselves. One woman I worked with, she thought she had to leave because she's like, I need work-life flexibility. I want to be there for my kids. They're really young. And we realized that actually she loved the work that she did. The real problem was not the work. The real problem was her boss. So we spent some time working on like strategies with her boss. Like, was he going to be the reason why she left? Or was there something she could do here? And she realized that she could bring humor to the situation, and he became less of a thorn in her side. She would take the kids, pick the kids up at 3 o'clock. She had that work-life flexibility in front of her because she'd been at her company for 20 years, and she realized she just needed an internal pivot. That's what I mean. This pivot might not be external. It may be, but until you start this journey, we won't know. So if you don't choose to join Pivot Pathfinders, the worst case scenario is you'll have spent another year tolerating and hoping that things will change. Best case scenario, you'll spend the whole year reading books, listening to podcasts, trying to figure this out on your own to hopefully get results. Either way, you're probably going to make incremental progress. If you do choose to join Pivot Pathfinders, you're probably not going to make your money back, or you will have actually stepped into the life and career that you really want. Pivot Pathfinders isn't a quick fix program. I'll be really honest with you. It's designed for the woman who's ready to do the deep soul searching, to make a sustainable, aligned shift in how they work without burning out or starting from scratch. And the process will walk you through nervous system support, values-based design, and testing pivots in real time. It's a blueprint that meets you exactly where you are, whether that's exploring new ideas, shifting internally, or taking action externally. And so if that's something that's of interest to you, I invite you to give this a try. If you've ever wanted to be a part of something from the ground up, not just to consume content, but to shape a movement of women redefining success, this is your invitation. I would love for you to join us. The best bit is when we work together, it's not just about your career move or your leadership step. It's truly about building unshakable confidence, clarity, and trust in yourself that lasts a lifetime beyond our time together. The tools and strategies, the mindset shifts that you're going to gain from being a part of this mastermind, they're going to support you to make career and leadership decisions with ease, not just now, but at every stage of your journey, and to navigate challenges like burnout, uncertainty, or self-doubt with resilience instead of feeling stuck. And really, it's going to help you step into leadership with confidence, knowing that you have the skills, the presence, and the inner trust to thrive so that you can create a career that supports your life, not one that drains you. It isn't about a quick fix. It's about creating a career and a leadership path where you feel empowered, aligned, and in control for years to come. So I'm ready to start straight away, and I'm inviting you to join the mastermind. This is time sensitive because I'm only opening the doors for a very limited time so that we can go through this process as a cohort together for the next 6 months. There are only a handful of spots available for this group, and we start soon. Practically speaking, you'll probably need between 2 to 3 hours a week to implement, right? As you're listening to the courses and you're doing the exercises, coming along to the live calls, you'll get module access immediately. So you don't have to wait for me. You can just completely get stuck in. And I really want to create some amazing results. So as part of this group, I'm going to work closely for feedback. So the investment, what the important bits that you need to know. So with the standard access, where you get access to the course, the community portal, the live sessions, the step-by-step training modules, the template vault, that's just under 3,000 US, 2,999. Or there's a payment plan where you can pay 6 monthly installments of 525. As I mentioned before, if you're someone who likes the upgrade option where you would like all of that, but you would also like one-on-one support, then it's possible to upgrade to 6,497 for the course of the 6 months, or you can pay 6 monthly payments of 1,150. So it's totally up to you with how you would like to be supported. You do get lots of support in the group coaching sessions. So the live sessions, as I said, they're twice per month, except for July and December, where they're once per month. But with the upgrade, you would be able to have that personal one-on-one attention. So totally up to you. I've also got a really juicy bonus. So I was speaking about unconventional career tools when I was talking about module 3, knowing your strengths. If you sign up within the next 5 days, you will get access to a personal one-on-one career clarity by design session with me. This is a 90-minute deep dive where you're going to receive tailored guidance on your human design blueprint. So you can start to see who you are, and this will really help inform how you want to create your work-life design prototype and how you're best deserved to work. So it's a 90-minute deep dive session, and you're going to get personalized guidance without dragging the process out. So how it works is that you'll be invited to submit a form with some of your details. It does work on your birth date and time and location. So you'll need that bit of information. I will run a full report, which will give you so much information, which I'll share with you in the session. And you'll get a report. So you've got everything in writing. So you can just come to that session and listen, knowing that the report will have everything you need there that you can refer back to time and time again, and also use as a resource in module 3 when we're using the AI prompt to pull all of your strengths together and help support you on your next steps. You'll get the session recording so you can listen. You don't need to take notes. And I'm going to give you some career clarity journal prompts based on your specific human design so you can turn those insights into real world change. And you'll also get this bonus decision-making cheat sheet, which speaks to how you are uniquely designed to make decisions, because the quality of your decisions will affect the quality of your life. And so that's a really helpful tool to get. So that is normally priced at just under $500 US. I do those as standalone sessions. I only open them up a handful of times, but you'll get it free if you sign up within the next 5 days. So I've done a lot of talking, and I would love to invite you into this program. So if you're in, just reply to wherever we have been communicating and say in, along with any questions that you have. And if you're in, which I hope you are, we'll get you onboarded. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you for tuning in. No matter where you sit, no matter what you decide, please remember this. You are here for a reason. Beyond merely hustling, grinding, and merely surviving, you matter. I believe that you're here for a reason. You have a strength, a talent, a gift, something to share with the world. And it would be my great privilege to support you in stepping into that and becoming more of the woman that you really are here to be. Sending all my love, and I will continue speaking with you in our conversation. Thanks for listening.